the call to order for Tuesday, January 26th, our Environment Committee. So, first item, without any objection, we have the approval of the agenda today. It's a good one.
One moment.
Next up, we have
Lindstrom. We have to do.
Do we want to do a roll call?
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you.
Fredson. Councilmember Fredson.
I was bringing up my agenda. I'm here.
There you are. Great. Sterner.
Here.
Vento. I saw that she raised her hand, so she is present. Wolf.
Here.
Zarin.
Present.
And Lindstrom.
Here as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that takes us to our minutes from January 12th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Wolf moves approval.
In a second?
Seconds.
All right. Thank you, Council Member.
Councilmember Sterner seconds.
Roll call on that.
Fredson.
Aye.
Sterner.
Aye.
Vento. Vento acknowledges aye. Wolf.
Aye.
Zarin.
Aye.
And Lindstrom.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing on our consent business agenda today, and 2 items on our non-consent business agenda. The first one I'm excited about, 2021-33. Adopt the facility plan for the Lake Minnetonka Area Regional Interceptor Improvements Project, which there are a ton of them over the next 5 years or so. Mr. Remus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'd like to present business item 2021-33, adopting the facility plan for the Lake Minnetonka Area Regional Interceptor Improvements Project, MCES Project 802891. Next slide, please. Yep, thank you. I'm just going to go over these slides fairly quick, just for some background, as we've talked about these recently. The 5 projects shown on the location map were the projects identified for the facility plan. The first 2 being located in the city of Orono. Project number 3 is located within Deep Haven. Number 4 is in Excelsior Shorewood area, and number 5 is located in Victoria. Next slide, please. So those 5 projects were determined based on evaluating hydraulic models and flow projections, condition assessments, age of the infrastructure, and cooperative opportunities with the local communities. And those 5 projects identified ranged in types from rehabilitation, replacement of infrastructure, or realignment of the existing facilities into a new location. Next slide, please. So based on the recommended alternatives for each of those 5 projects, you can see the estimated project cost total of all 5 was summed at nearly $37 million of construction cost over the next 5 years in this area. Next slide, please. So this is just a summary of the public process, and it started, we had 2 public information meetings to initially review the project with the local communities on October 6th. That was focused on the 2 projects in Orono, and again on October 8th, we held another virtual public information meeting for the remaining communities on the south side of Lake Minnetonka area. One date that is not in here is October 13th, and as you may recall, we were here on that date requesting approval to hold a public hearing for the draft facility plan, as a public hearing is required for draft facility plan prior to its adoption by the Met Council, which is a condition of obtaining project financing through the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority. So then on December 15th, after receiving that approval, we had our public hearing on the draft facility plan. And I'd also like to take a second here to thank Chair Lindstrom for taking time to convene the public hearing for the Lake Minnetonka facility plan that evening. I know our team truly appreciated your participation and support of this work, which is looking to invest in our regional wastewater assets in the Lake Minnetonka area. And I'd also like to acknowledge Councilmember Barber, who was also in attendance for the facility plan presentation that evening. And after that meeting, there was, by council policy, the comment period remains open for 10 days, which landed on a weekend. So that public comment period closed on December 28th. And here tonight, we're on January 26th, asking for consideration to adopt the final facility plan, which on February 10th would go to Metropolitan Council, and if approved, we would submit that to the Public Facilities Authority at the PCA. Next slide, please. So below is a summary of comments that we received on the facility plan while it was out for comment. In total, we had received 8 comments on the draft facility plan. 7 were from residents and 1 was from a representative of the local ISD 276. So public hearings, we received 4 prior to the public hearing, and those comments were read aloud at the time to be entered into the public record. We did have 13 total attendees at the public hearing, and that ranged from residents, several officials from Hennepin County, council members, and also a local state senator from the local district. And let me just go through a few of these. A lot of these we received ahead of time, and we responded back to the resident directly if able to, or we answered. They were either in virtual or in chat the night of the public hearing, ranging from questions of definition of city work, size of station, kind of timing and schedules, building sizes. Some there on the L46, L49, there were several questions ranging from configuration to sight lines, and we advised of further design meetings with the neighborhood and other opportunities to discuss and consider other items with that. There was a question regarding the trench location of the excavation, and we responded we would answer that at upcoming open house with a design meeting for the neighborhood. There was concern about if Chaska Road was impacted, which we responded there were no impacts to Chaska Road. And then there was a final request of how the hearing record could be accessed. And as you can see below, the facility plan materials and the public hearing summary are located at the website link in this slide here. Next slide, please. So the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council adopt the facility plan for the Lake Minnetonka Area Regional Interceptor Improvement Project, MCES project number 802891 per resolution 2021-3 attached to the business item. Next slide, please. And with that, I can be available for any questions. Thank you.
Is it 2021-3 or -33? On our agenda, it says 3-3. I don't know.
Mr. Chair, Susan, would you?
Yes, I can do that. Chair Lindstrom, the resolution number is 2021-3. There is a third page to the business item. which is the actual resolution. The business item number is 2021-33.
Gotcha. Thank you. Is there a motion to move this forward? Or any questions that
Wolf
council
moves
members may have?
approval.
Is there a second?
Here in seconds.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Fredson,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Vento. Acknowledge Vento said aye. Wolf,
Aye.
Zarin,
Aye.
and Lindstrom.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for having me be a part of that convening process. So it was a ton of fun, and I look forward to doing that again on future projects. Up next,
Thank you.
You betcha. Up next, I think, Chris, you're up again with the Interceptor Chemical Odor and Corrosion Control Project public hearing request.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to present business item 2021-34, Interceptor Chemical Odor and Corrosion Control Project public hearing request, MCES project number 819011. Next slide, please. And again, I'm just going to give a brief bit of background. This one was brought to Environment Committee on December 8th for sole source contract extension with Evoqua, who is our current chemical supplier. This map is showing those facilities, both lift stations and metering stations, that we currently introduce nitrate salts or bioxide into our wastewater flow for odor and corrosion control. Next slide, please. So as noted, about a month ago or so, this was at Environment Committee and approved at Met Council on the December 23rd meeting for an 18-month extension with Evoqua to continue providing nitrate salts and operating and maintenance our odor control system. At present, staff is working on a request for proposal, or RFP, for design, build, and operation and maintenance proposal for the Interceptor Chemical and Odor Control project. So the MCS would own all the non-proprietary equipment that would be installed as part of this contract. It would be a single contractor that would be awarded both agreements for both the design build of the equipment and the supply and operation of the interceptor system. And the contractor would operate, maintain, and supply chemical for 10 years with potential for 2 5-year extensions. Next slide, please. So the next steps, and per the requirement of Minnesota state statute, prior to entering into a design build operate contract, MCS shall conduct a public hearing on the proposal. This public hearing would include a notice in local papers where the work is to be located. In addition, we would create a website with email address, hotline, information that people could call or email comments, and we would have the RFP itself there for public review. We would look to hold a virtual public hearing to discuss this project, and again, by council policy, we can hold a public hearing 45 days after Metropolitan Council approval. So based on that background, it's a little out of order here. We're tentatively looking to advertise the RFP February 15th. With today's approval and next approval by Met Council on February 10th, that would authorize us to hold a public hearing. 45 days from that puts us on March 29th as the first available opportunity that we could indeed host that public hearing. And by having 30 days notice prior, that would be at the end of February, February 26th, where we would need to notify the various communities of the upcoming public hearing on this process. Next slide, please. So with that, the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council authorize a public hearing to gather input on the request for proposals, RFP, for the Interceptor Chemical Odor and Corrosion Control Project. Next slide. And I can be available for any questions. Thank you.
Would the public hearing be part of an environment committee meeting? Or would that stand on its own, the one in March?
Mr. Chair, that would stand on its own.
Okay. Other questions? Do we have a motion and a second?
Chair Lindstrom, Zarin here. I move item number 2021-34.
And I would second that motion, Sterner here.
Thanks to you both. Roll call, please.
Fredson,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Vento, acknowledge, aye. Wolf,
Aye.
Zarin,
Aye.
and Lindstrom.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to our one information item, which I heard this presentation or a similar presentation, I believe, a month or so ago, when this was delivered as part of a Environmental Protection Agency national webinar that they put on and invited us to participate in it because it's so amazing. And I thought that the Environment Committee should be aware of this really cool technology that we're utilizing. And so we've got a great team. So please take it away.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. Thanks for this opportunity to present today. Our team obviously proudly works for the Metropolitan Council and Environmental Services, and my name is Scott Bowes. I manage the Training and Program Supervisor Unit for Environmental Services, Operations Support Services Department. After we introduce ourselves and our topics for today's presentation, I'm going to provide some definitions to the technology you'll be hearing about and seeing. Kim, please take an opportunity to introduce yourself and your presentation topics, if you would.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Chair, committee members. My name is Kim Borman Krinhop. I'm an assistant manager for the Performance, Excellence, and Analytics Department, and I'm going to be talking about why we are exploring these new technologies and how we anticipate they may benefit the Council. Thank you.
And I guess next would be Todd or Tyler.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Chair and committee members, my name is Tyler Naughton. I am a business systems analyst that works in the Performance Excellence and Analytics group. My presentation topics today are a little bit about what we're doing and how are we doing it, and then as well as how we are engaging our operations staff in this process. Thank you.
And Todd.
Mr. Chair, committee members, my name is Todd Tolkar. I'm an assistant business unit manager working out of the Empire plant down by Farmington, Minnesota, and I'll be showing you the demo at the end of the presentation of what it is we've put together so far.
Thank you, Todd. Mr. Chair, committee members, driven primarily through retirements, the last 12 years we have had hired approximately 120 wastewater treatment operators and interceptor service workers. Many of these employees have grown up with mobile devices and expect to use technology to learn and do their jobs. We believe the technology we are piloting and training methods we are using align with their preferred learning styles. Next slide, please. We'll be using some terminology in our presentation today regarding the technology we are speaking of, and therefore I will be taking a moment to provide you some definitions. Digital twin is something you'll be seeing today, and it's a digital replica of a living or non-living physical entity. Today, we will demo an example where we provide walkthroughs of our facilities to the training audience, such as new hires, allowing for virtual self-directed learning of the physical spaces at our 9 wastewater facilities and our interceptor facilities. In addition, augmented reality, many of you might have heard this term, is an interactive experience of a real-world environment where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer-generated perceptual information, sometimes across multiple sensory modalities, including visual, auditory, haptic, etc. We are piloting use of augmented reality technology whereby subject matter experts create digital step-by-step job aids, later utilized by another employee via a Hololens 2 headset in the work environment to complete critical job tasks. Next slide, please. Mr. Chair and committee members, I'm turning this over to Kim Borman, and she's going to speak to you next.
Thank you, Scott, Mr. Chair, committee members. With a retiring workforce, operators who have operated our plant for 25 plus years, they've often left with a great understanding of their plant, knowing where most valves were located and knowing what opening and closing each valve meant without using a drawing or a standard operating procedure to guide them. New operators need years of training to learn their craft and to reach that same capacity. Yet with the changing dynamics of the workforce, new operators coming in, incumbent operators retiring, and other operators transferring to more desired locations, these changes started presenting knowledge gaps in the workplace, such as shutting the wrong valve and minor incidences. As those who support wastewater operations, procedures, and training, our unit has been researching tools and methods to get new staff up and running faster. Guiding plant operators to a particular pipe or valve has been a significant and labor-intensive work for many staff at the council, including writers who author procedures, as well as engineers and drafters who over the years have created drawings and schematics for the many miles of pipelines at the council's 9 wastewater treatment plants. But with the added complexity of plant expansions and equipment updates to our 9 ever-changing plants, keeping drawings and procedures up to date is a significant feat and one that isn't easily sustainable. So if you look at the SOP that's sitting on the PowerPoint slide, imagine the time it takes to orient a user to a task by writing these steps and taking photos and marking them up. We were looking for a more immersive type of training. What if we could just zoom in on the location we wanted, directing the worker right to the valves that they needed to operate? Todd and Tyler recently discovered this ability actually exists after attending a conference on augmented and virtual reality. They discovered at the conference a technology called 3D digital twins, and it's the tool that you'll be seeing them demo today. Next slide. While we're still exploring augmented reality as well as digital twins and haven't fully implemented them into our training at this point, we can say that augmented reality and digital twins are the only training tools the Met Council has that puts users directly into the experience of their actual environment virtually, which you'll soon see in the demo. That creates a learning event or experience, really, where trainees can learn significantly faster because they're not having to align the training materials to the environment that they're in. Instead, these technologies bring the user into the virtual environment, offer up videos, procedures, and even live recorded instruction. Without goggles, the trainee can view a task being performed before they actually do the task. And wearing goggles, the trainee can view live holographic instructions on how to perform the task directly on the equipment they're using in their space as they're doing the job. Augmented reality is a technology that we're currently prototyping, but we won't be demonstrating this today. These trainings provide consistency of instructor-led training to every trainee and can be used by an operator training another operator, and can save time by not going to the actual locations where the environment may not be conducive to training. Trainees can also browse 3D scans and digital twins online on their own, which offers added learning opportunities for their own just-in-time training. These methodologies are easy to use and easy to author. Digital twins provide value to other source areas of the council than just for operation, which makes them a versatile source of training. And lastly, these technologies save us time by not having to describe how to get an operator to a particular equipment, pipe, and valve, like we've spent years trying to do with photos, maps, and steps. So let's see what these tools are all about. Todd and Tyler have done a remarkable job of researching and working across many groups to bring these tools to the council. I hope you enjoy seeing their demo, as well as seeing a pathway into the future. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Kim. Mr. Chair and committee members. So what are we doing with these technologies, and how are we doing them? First, I'll talk a little bit about digital twins, and then I'll move on to our pilot with augmented reality training. So with the digital twins, again, that is a creation of a 3D replica of a particular building, area, or even a vehicle. Scan full plants, the East Bethel plant, as well as the Rogers plant. And the biggest plant that we've done so far is the Eagles Point facility. We've scanned all the buildings as well as the outdoor areas, so we have a full digital replica of these plants. We've also scanned individual buildings. One of our first projects, we scanned the pretreatment building at the Metro plant, where we showed the facility to a new operator trainee, and they were able to go and identify multiple points where a bar screen needed to be shut down by just viewing that particular image or 3D map. The last section that we have done is we've scanned a couple of single cab vehicles. Now with COVID and with the restricted amount of space we have in these vehicles, only one person is able to get inside the cab at a time. So by scanning the inside and around the vehicle, trainer is able to show a group of people what it looks like on the inside, what each of the buttons do, things like that. They're able to train a whole group of people in there, so they're familiar with the vehicle when they get their chance to climb inside. Some of the benefits from 3D scanning include reducing the trainer and trainee time, being able to train remotely, conducting virtual building tours for external people or contractors so they're familiar with the area before they get on site. And then they also have the ability to keep detailed records of spaces throughout various facilities. So the second part of what we're doing is we're using augmented reality training with the HoloLens 2 headset and Microsoft 365 guides. This stuff is fairly new, so the augmented reality training that gives us the ability to overlay images, videos, and instructions in front of a person's eyes while they're also viewing the environment themselves. We have just completed a small pilot using the lockout, tagout, mock-up training devices located at Metro 94. We walked through the entire procedure that the trainees use in order to do refresher training for lockout, tagout. So that's the pilot that we've done so far. Some of the benefits of this include reducing SOP creation time. We have the ability to go through the task virtually before actually getting your hands on the operation or on the training device itself. And it also helps increase the knowledge retention of the operations staff by having the task viewable at any point in time. Next slide, please. So how are we involving our operations staff? They were involved in the initial pilot of the augmented reality training. So we tested this technology out over a year ago with an operator in the pre-treatment environment where they used the HoloLens headset. We walked around the building and figured out how to shut down a bar screen. We then showed that to a new operator trainee where they viewed the space and the procedure, and that trainee was able to walk us to each location and successfully shut down the bar screen. We also have been utilizing them to name certain equipment in scanned areas, so that way important information is called out on these 3D and digital twins. They're also helping us test out these procedures and the tours for areas virtually. So we are able to show them these spaces, and that will help them become familiar with those new areas. And then lastly, we are getting requests from them to scan and do different procedures for augmented reality and digital twins. So we are getting requests for new areas to map, and then also specifically areas to use and potentially pilot this AR augmented reality training. Thank you. I'll pass it on to Todd next.
If you go to the next slide, please. Mr. Chair, committee members, I'm going to show you a demo of what we've actually put together here. I'm going to show you Eagles Point Wastewater Treatment Plant, a video SOP and vehicle mapping that we use for training. So the video SOP, I always say when people are at home and they want to learn something, nobody goes to their computer and looks up a PDF. Everybody goes to YouTube and they want to watch a video of how to do it. So we're trying to catch up to the way people are naturally learning themselves. And when you're looking at these walkthroughs, some of the use cases that we have for them, if you can try and think about it as we're looking at it, is we want to virtually meet in the location. We have 9 plants. Not everybody can be at the plant at the same time. Travel takes time, costs money. So if we can meet at the location virtually, we can save everybody's time. We're doing maintenance, if we're doing construction projects, if we're doing site or building tours, before and after inspections, just planning, training. So there's a ton of uses that we can do with this. So I'm going to stop sharing the video of me and share the video of my screen so we don't run into bandwidth issues. And I am going to share my desktop with you all. So this is a dollhouse view of our Eagles Point wastewater treatment plant in Cottage Grove. So when it looks like this, it doesn't look like a lot, but this is pretty much the entire plant. I'll make this a full screen so you can see it a little better, and we can hop in, and it'll bring us right into the reception area here. Now, if you've ever seen maybe a walkthrough of a house that's for sale, this is the technology that they use for that. We're just using it in a little bit different way. From here, you can move throughout the entire plant, or you can exit back out into the dollhouse view, and you can jump into anywhere you wanted. So let's say we were going to have a meeting to discuss what's going on in our sludge loadout building. We could go right into this building, point to things, talk about what's going on. We can go up to the second floor of the building. We can look at control panels and see everything. So this can bring everybody to this location all at the same time without having to travel there. We go back out into the dollhouse. The SOP that Kim showed earlier, if we wanted to go to that spot in this walkthrough, this was the area that was in the SOP that she was showing. So if you were to talk to somebody, show them this, point stuff out. To me, much better than looking at a PDF or a Word document on your computer. Much more interactive. You can see too, we add tags. Some of these are a little hard to see where we can label all the buildings. We didn't add a ton of tags into this one because we didn't want to clutter it up too much. But it allows us to then create what I'm going to show you next. So let me exit out of here. I'm going to show you a video. So this is a video walkthrough, and there's no sound on the video. It's showing you the areas of the plant that you're going to need to go to grab samples. So here we're going to start out in the admin building, and we're going to grab our bottles. And at this point, I speed the video up. If I did it at real time, it would just take too long to walk through the plant to get to all these places. But if you're a new operator at this plant, you know how to do the samples, you just don't know at this plant, you can watch this video, bring it with you on an iPad, walk through the plant, get to the locations that you need to get to. And when you get to these locations, and then we show you exactly how to take the water sample out of that location. So this video will walk through both the influent and the effluent water samples. That's where the water comes into the plant and the water leaves the plant. How to take the samples and then back to the lab where you then analyze those samples. So these are the video SOPs that I'm talking about. When people are at home, this is what they want to look up to see how things are done. So we're trying to create these for the people in the plants. So I'll pause that video there. And then the trucks. So I really like this one. Here you're looking at one of our trucks. We can hop inside it. Especially with COVID now, you can see this truck seats one person. So to get a person into this truck, a trainer in the truck with them, and to show them where everything is, pretty cramped space. Here, you can see we have the tags on these things, so people can look at this on their own. We can bring this up in a room where everyone's at their own computer. We can show them everything that's in the truck, so we can really minimize the amount of time in the truck where we have two people up there pointing at stuff. We can link externally to videos. I don't know how well this video will start playing, but here's an overview of this truck so the person can sit and watch the video of the truck also. We can then step out of the truck, down to the floor, and we can do our walk around inspection, show everybody what they need to look through as they walk around the truck. All while everyone's sitting at their own computer separately. So instead of training one person at a time inside that cab, you can train a half a dozen people at a time. So this is what we put together so far. I can stop sharing and we can go back to the presentation. We go to the next slide, please. So we've learned a few things by doing this. Transitioning the workforce to new training techniques and technology takes time. Not everybody, loves change in the workforce, as I'm sure everyone's aware. And we want to select projects and pilots that will show the most value. In the future, we want to increase the number of digital twins that we have. We want to create easy access to the models. We want to create some augmented reality training pilots using the Hololens. We're going to create more plant tours, SOP, using these digital twins in the HoloLens. And we want to just explore more potential uses for all of this, as we're new to this, so we don't know everything yet, but as we're seeing, we're finding more and more uses as we go. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time. Go to the next slide, and I think it's just some information if anyone has any questions.
Thank you so much. Questions from the committee? I can't really see you right now. So Councilmember Fredson, I can see you.
Thanks, Chair. This is fascinating. I have a few follow-up questions. One is, I'm just interested in knowing how many staff have been involved with compiling all of this just to date. And then I'm wondering if there's security concerns. You know, it just seems that well, I'm just curious to know if you have any security concerns whatsoever. And then the last question is, I'm just interested in the extent to which like the safety committee or a labor management committee has been involved, and I guess feedback in terms of where they're at as far as being supportive or having concerns about this kind of approach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Todd, do you mind responding to some of these things since you and Tyler have been boots on the ground with it?
Sure. Mr. Chair, committee members, to address the security concerns, as of right now, all these spaces that we're creating are set as private. You need a password to get into these, and we're limiting the number of people that have access to them. We do have a group under Ricky's group. They're working. We have what's called API tokens with the company, and they're setting up links internally to us. So you click on the link if you're on MetNet, and it will bring you to this, and it'll fill in the password in the background. If you're not on MetNet, you can't get to it, just like anything else that we have on MetNet here at the council. Yes, we've involved safety in this. They are getting involved with it. They like the technology. They've already found at least one use case where they wanted a site scan for themselves to do an investigation. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the first question that you asked.
Oh, it's just how many people, you know, sort of from top to bottom have been involved with compiling this already?
Well, we've had to, Mr. Chair and committee members, we've had to involve a number of people from the IS department along with support services. So I would say we've probably touched at least 40 people in the council that have had their finger at least involved a little bit in this. So it's been a large number of people across multiple departments that have helped us get this far.
Councilmember Fredson, you had a question.
No,
Go ahead.
In a word, fascinating. Yep. So thank you.
Exactly. You had a question about labor management too. Was that addressed?
Oh, he addressed the question. In safety committees or labor management committees. Yep. I was just interested to know if the you know, workforce concerns as it related to trying out this different kind of model.
Right on. Other council member questions?
Chair Lindstrom?
Yeah.
This is Susan, the recording secretary. I wanted to acknowledge Councilmember Vento stated in the chat. Chair Lindstrom, thank you for including this in today's agenda. It was a thorough and interesting as the great presentation given to the EPA. Kudos to all.
Agreed. Other questions? Well, again, thank you very much. Scott, Kim, Tyler, Todd, you hit it out of the park. Well done. I thought it was fascinating the first time I heard it. It was equally fascinating the second time I heard it. And I'm pleased that we're moving forward with the 21st century, right? As you said at the beginning of this presentation, a lot of the folks being trained are totally used to augmented reality and digital twins and all other technology things, and so I'm glad we're there. Thank you, and that takes us to our last item, the general manager's report. Lisa, hello.
Hello. I am going to be brief tonight. I have a bit of news to share about an appointment at EPA, someone that we've been working with on water challenges, including equity and climate change. And I bet Wendy Wolf will remember her from back in 2018 when the council co-hosted the One Water Summit with the U.S. Water Alliance. Radhika Fox, who's been a passionate leader for sustainable water and and water equity with the U.S. Water Alliance, has been sworn in this week as the new Principal Deputy Assistant Administrator in the Office of Water with EPA. Initially, she will be the acting Assistant Administrator, which is a vacant position. Radhika's a real big systems thinker and the kind of thinking that I think we need for the challenges that we face. So I'm really hopeful and looking forward to see what things will unfold. And it's nice to know somebody in that office who we have a little sense of where they might be coming from as they try to bring about some positive change and accomplish some important things. And I know that many of you have been strong advocates for climate change actions and energy and all those kinds of things. So I think this is going to be some good years ahead in terms of trying to accomplish good things.
And what was her role with One Water?
She was the CEO, and I think she had been there since about 2014. She'd been with the San Francisco Public Utilities before that.
Great. Very good. Like you said, it's good to know people in high places. And with that, that's a wrap. Unless there's other items that any council member has. Okay. Thank you, everybody.